welcome to our live virtual opening reception. This is the first time we've done a virtual reception, and technology, gotta love it. So hopefully this goes well. Pardon us if there's any technological errors. Just work with us. Feel free to ask any questions you may have. We'll be going through the exhibition, talking about the artists and some of the pieces, and have some special guests coming up. So walk through the exhibition real quick, just kind of give you a feel for some of the pieces. This exhibition is called Florida Artists, Florida Views. So we all know boats, oceans, and we love it. We're here in Florida for a reason. But there's something that Floridians know about Florida that we love. The salt in the air, the humidity in the way our hands feel sticky when you go outside, or the way our glasses fog up. We all love that fresh rainstorm and how the road fogs up and the steam comes off of everything. But what about Florida really inspires? The landscape, the warmth. There's something about Florida that we all know and love. That's why we're here. We may be born here, we may have moved here. We may have been born here, left, and come back, as my husband did. But there's something unique about Florida, and that's what this exhibition talks about. So let's start with our first artists, one of our favorites, Beau Wild. We love her work, and Diamond here is going to talk a little bit more about her pieces in the exhibition.
Hi, thank you guys for joining us. We have one of our wonderful guests with us. She is a featured artist here in Gallery500, Beau Wild. We are so honored to have her work. We're actually going to be interviewing her with a few questions that I have selected that I'm sure a lot of you too are interested in knowing some of the answers to. Are you ready?
Yes. Thank you.
Of course. So out of the selected works that we do have here currently and this specific exhibition, Friends is one of my favorite pieces that you do have. I wanted to know what specifically, who are the two forms that are in this painting, and does the painting itself represent friendship or another type of relationship, perhaps?
Well, this painting is titled Friends, but I start actually all of my paintings just doing non-objective abstracts, which have to do with color and line and shape and texture. And then if an image begins to emerge, then I might try to pull it out, or I might even push it back. On this one, I kind of liked the sense of the two people, and so instead I painted the negative space around the images so that the figures would pop out. And these two people I do not know. It is really from my imagination, but I've known a lot of friends, and I have a lot of friends that we share secrets, and so these two figures are actually are together, they're comfortable, and yet I can see that they're not romantic. She's looking this way and he's looking off. But they're close and they're sharing some secret or some comfort, and that to me is what friendship is all about. Yes. Is the shared experience there.
Indeed, perfect. Thank you. I love how we got some of the process of how you create a lot of your paintings too. You. So for the next question, 2020 was pretty much difficult for all of us. COVID hit. Amongst that, we had a stay-at-home order here in Florida, and then some other states started it too. So I saw that you did publish a nice book in 2020. Can you share more about that with us?
Sure. My husband and I came back from an art weekend in Sarasota, and in March of last year, and that's when some of the cases were starting to show up in St. Pete and so on, and we came back and said, that's it, we were going to just stay home. We'd order our food from Publix and they'd deliver it, and so we were not going to go out. But I'm fortunate in that I have my studio in another building outside my home, and I can just walk there and paint. So I was really documenting the numbers of cases and then the numbers of deaths and what I was feeling at the time. And it spans 4 or 5 months from that period. And in the end, it started to become a little more hopeful. And so the last part of the booklet is really about some hope that there seems to be something better happening.
Yes.
So,
I love it. I love how Beau was able to pretty much capture a lot of her emotions, that I'm sure a lot of our emotions too were bouncing off the walls,
Right.
but you were able
Thank
to
you.
harness them all in and put them in different works of art. And it's so smart to capture them into, therefore, a diary format and make a book.
Thank you.
The last question that I do have for you, I know on your website you do have a section called Commentary Works. Specifically, one of your most recent works is focused on marginalized Indigenous women. One of my favorite pieces, Our Marginalized Sisters, talks more about what is going on behind the scenes of the world around us and that particular community. Could you shed some more light into how you got into this particular community?
I actually saw a movie, and I cannot remember the name of it, but the end result was an Indigenous young girl who fell in love with an American man who was in one of these men camps that are right outside the reservation. They were like huge construction sites, but they only have men there. And the storyline talks about her being actually not encountering a lot of the white men, and finally she was going to be raped, or she was raped, and she ran away. They killed the boyfriend, and at the end of the movie it says there is no record of missing women and murdered Indigenous women and girls in the United States. Now this was a slightly older movie. They do have some now, because we have in the
Federal
system,
Yeah.
you know, you can missing children's
Yes.
list. Well, they didn't have that for Indigenous women and girls, and so that started my quest of trying to find out more information. And these paintings are really a way for me to highlight the fact that this is such a significant problem, and we need to do something to make it less of a problem. It's still a terrible problem.
It is.
There is a act that's in the Congress right now to be able to give federal support for these women. It hasn't been passed yet, but hopefully it's going to be, because it's just a very terrible problem that many people don't know about.
It is. And we appreciate, as viewers and lovers of your art, thank you for showing us and highlighting that specific part of the world to us that a lot of us might not have not even noticed or even, unfortunately, paid attention to. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you.
So I'm going to introduce you to the first few artists of the exhibition. We discussed Beau's work a bit, and it works beautifully for exhibition, as she does work here in Florida locally. Her studio is beautiful right along the water, and I think that inspires her every day to paint these beautiful images. Abstract or figurative, they have that feeling that we all want to capture. Next artist I think we really need to discuss is Lisa Kennedy. Her work's beautiful. She considers herself a novice, but I think her work is spectacular. We have a few of her pieces, so you have to come in and check them out. Next artist is Frank Ferrante. I love his work. He's originally from New York. He studied under some great masters, although he does live here locally now. He has this great impressionist nature. He's really focused on that light, that moment of light, as true impressionists do. You can see it in his pieces. Next would be Thomas Arvid, and of course my favorite, J. Scott Nickel. He has his fine arts degree from Rutgers, but he now lives here locally, so we're lucky to have him. But his work's fantastic. You can see we have a good variety. Kim Sapp is another favorite.
So the next artist up, her name is Kim Sapp. Kim Sapp, she pretty much started actually painting at an early age as she developed as an artist since I want to say before 2020. For about 10 years, she was actually living in Atlanta. She has a nice impressionistic theme too, but she also uses the nice loose brush strokes for her paintings. Look at that. I love how there is still like kind of a sheen on a lot of her works. She does like to focus on wildlife. She also is really great with portraits. She is lastly good with still life as well. But on our website, we even have some bison that she painted. We also have additional horses and things. But I mean, you just can't see this anywhere else. I haven't been able to. And I have gone to Ormond and New Smyrna and St. Augustine, but I definitely love Kim Sapp's works.
Let's just do a quick little intro to Lillian Verkins here.
Lillian Verkins, she is amazing actually. She is from Florida, and this particular piece, one thing that I do love most is the viewpoint that the viewer is able to get. Lillian is able to pretty much paint in a way that it looks like the viewer is looking upwards, so we're looking into the nice clouds. Also, I love kind of a little bit similar to Kim Sapp's works. There are some loose brush strokes that Lillian was able to create. I'll kind of zoom in to show you guys.
I'm glad you can hear, Lillian. I see your message.
Wonderful.
So this is actually one of my favorite pieces. And if anyone's familiar with Lillian's work, she generally does a bit more abstract. She's done several wonderful series. We've actually had several pieces from the gallery go to some great collectors here, but they've all been her abstracts. And so she brought this piece into me. It's quite large. And I fell in love. I love the unique viewpoint, as Diamond was discussing. And I think it truly represents Florida, but from a different viewpoint. You're looking up at it. You can see the clouds, almost like a storm is coming or a storm is just passed, making the blue sky even brighter. The piece really fills the space. We give it its own beautiful wall here at the gallery. But I would love to see it in a bright, sunlit-filled room.
That would be gorgeous.
White and grays, and then the pop of color is her painting. That's what I envision.
Yes.
So someone buy it so I can see it in your home like that.
Please, please do.
So hopefully we have our technology figured out a little bit more. I may look a little awkward holding this mic, but we have to pass it back and forth. I only have one mic, so like I said, first time doing a virtual exhibition. We will work out the kinks. That's what makes it fun, right? So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the exhibition. I hope you guys are enjoying it. We won't keep it too long now that we figured out technology, but I did want to give you guys something special for tuning in. Anytime now until Monday, if you all purchase something in the gallery or on our website, use the discount code VIRTUAL, VIRTUAL. You get a great little discount. But we really want people to enjoy Florida as we all do and have a little piece to take home with you. Art is really about the story that you tell. That's why you can see as we're going around, we're talking about the stories, talking about the process, the colors and the beauty, but we want that feeling. We want you to have that feeling, build your own feeling with each piece. That's why you're going to look at it every day. That's why you're going to live with it, because you love that story, right? And who's better at stories than our next artist. So welcome.
Oh, thank you, Amber. Thank you, and thank you, Diamond, for helping us out here. Oh, geez, I love this.
So here, let's see if this works, y'all. I'm going to try. Well, 'cause I gotta talk to you. I gotta ask you questions.
No, you're not gonna talk. I'm the one. No, this will work. This will work.
So I put down the microphone so we both can hear. You can hear us both. I'm gonna keep talking. Diamond has a camera, so please make any comments if the sound is difficult to understand or anything as we're talking. But let's go into your work.
Okay.
So tell me about your work. Tell me about your style. Tell me about where you got your start. 3 questions in one.
Geez, that's a loaded question, Amber. So my work is on plexiglass. This particular piece is on 4 sheets of clear plexiglass. Each sheet contains maybe 45% of the image. And the reason I use dots, if you can get like really close, Diamond, and you can see all these wonderful little dots, is because you can see through one layer of dots to the next layer of dots to the next layer of dots. So it's actually a 3-dimensional painting. Yeah, so
Okay.
there's that.
I won't let him talk too much, but we've shown several pieces of Robert's in the gallery in the past. And I came to him about this exhibition, and he's like, this piece will work perfectly, right?
Yes.
So,
Oh, of course. Why an orchid? So most people that are familiar with my work know that I paint contemporary portraits of strong, intelligent women. And so, but not always. Not always. That's not my only passion. We used to live down in South Florida, and we had like 200 orchids. And my wife and I just loved growing them. And I figured, let's give it a shot. Let's paint an orchid. And this particular orchid was from, the orchid's this big, and it's hanging from a tree, and it's in a pot. It started as one little orchid, and because if you don't repot the orchids, they just keep growing because they're air plants. And they keep growing and growing and growing. This thing's huge. So, and we actually still have it. We brought it up from South Florida. It's not as big because it's a lot colder up here. At any rate, I wanted to paint an orchid, and it's got, what the interesting thing about this particular painting is, and I was doing this for a while, is adding some organic paper to add some texture and an organic feel to it. And it's a nice contrast to the shiny, cold plexiglass. Yeah.
so you still have orchids.
I do. Not just maybe a dozen. Just maybe a dozen. Not like tons, but some, yeah.
So who loves orchids more, you or your wife?
Probably me.
Oh, really?
Because I'm the one that spends all the time on them, putting them together and keeping them alive. Probably, no, she loves them too. She's the one that started the whole thing.
I know, that's what I was getting to.
She started, so she brought, I'm getting in lots of trouble if I tell the whole story. But she brought home an orchid, and I ended up adopting it, and then it grew, the orchids had kids, and then we had like 200 orchids. It's crazy.
So as I was saying, art is that story, right? That emotional connection. And that's what I was trying to get out of Robert, is that he will often in his conversations at some point mention his wife's name at some level. And that's why I was so, I thought it was interesting that when he brought this piece and he's telling me the story about who brought home the orchid, it's his wife. That's what he sees in the piece, that he's painting his wife. So even though it's not a traditional female portrait as he usually presents, it is in a way his representation of his wife. And I think that's what's great about art. It's the story, and you'll never know that until you ask these questions.
Awesome.
And you can spend the time doing that. That's why come in and hang out with us, because I will tell you lots of stories. Don't worry, I can talk a lot, as I'm sure you all have noticed. But we really want to thank him for coming in. And check out the website. Check out his website. He is great with marketing, as we all know. But with every piece that he creates, he does a great video showing the process of it, showing the layers, and how each layer, the image changes, it comes to life. It's that kinetic three-dimensionality that we all know and love.
And each piece has its own story. And on the website, each painting has its own page with different views and a video, but also the story. And because I mostly paint portraits of women, those women have unbelievable stories. So yeah, check it out, robertshirk.com.
And keep up with our future exhibitions, because we're going to continue to have more of his pieces in as well. There's a couple in the future, I hope, that we've been looking at for a while, so I'm really excited for that. So we have a couple more artists to talk about. I want to make sure we don't forget any, obviously, and I know one of my favorites is watching. So let's look at Deborah Berry's real quick. So it's a bit different than, I would say, landscapes, florals, and things like that. But Deborah's work is beautiful. It's liquid photography. She has it all done on metal. She's a local here. She has been in Daytona for a while. She travels with her husband sometimes, as I know she's doing now. But she does everything from landscape photography, still life, but most recently she's really fallen in love with this technique of the liquid photography. So it's essentially some kind of pool of pigmented liquid, and she uses this great setup, it's fantastic, in which she'll drop 1 drop, 2, 3 drops of liquid into the pool, right? And she's capturing that interaction, that one moment in time. She'll do that, clean it up, do it all over again, right? And it's these interactions that she's capturing, and it's all unique, all individual, and you never know what you're going to get. But it's so striking, especially with the black background, that we really love it here. So many people comment about how modern and cool it is. So we really love her work, and it's the colors that I love. She uses these bright colors. I also want to mention real quickly, we've done a lot of work with this artist recently. He is our first artist in the Emerging Artist series that Gallery500 is hosting, Brandon Stanley. He does photography as well, but from a different perspective. He'll actually swim, surf out, and capture some of these scenes. The crest of the wave, something that no one else can see unless you're surfing out there. Something I don't see because I don't surf and I'm not out there. But it's really cool to see that unique perspective. These are just a selection of his pieces. We have a few more as well. And Brandon's, once again, a local favorite as well, local lifeguard here in Daytona. So if you ever get caught in a wave, Brandon may come save you. Next, wait, how long has it been? All right, so we've been about 40 minutes in, a couple hiccups. Hopefully you guys are having some fun. Feel free to ask any questions. We'll be watching the camera, and we'll answer any specific questions you may have. Next, I want to talk about Lisa Wilson. Wilson's work is very unique. It's one of the few pieces that she'll do it herself as well. She'll tell you, you can touch, you can feel. She wants that sensory memory, right? She wants you to see the texture, feel the texture. She works on plexiglass or wood. She starts with like an artist's putty and does a sculptural base. Then she'll do layer upon layer upon layer of paint on top. She mixes oils and acrylics. She's self-taught. No one told her you're not supposed to do that. But that's what's great about her work. She's just played and experimented. She creates this great wave-like texture, wave-like scene. Now, I can't explain it as good as Lisa can, but she really takes this as a moment of contemplation, of peace, the idea of all the chaos in the world, all the chaos around you. She wants you to focus here on the center, the peace, the calm, the serenity, right? She'll do this with people and they'll have, you know, these great emotional connections. She's so amazing at explaining her work, but that's really what it's about. The ocean is this strange sense of calm and invigorating. We all go to the ocean, well, not we all, many people go to the ocean for a break from reality, to relax, to hear the waves, smell the salt, all things we love. Even though it's chaotic, we all find peace in it. And it's a great dichotomy that I think we don't realize unless you think more deeply about it. And that's what her work is about. Calm in the chaos, right? Plus her colors are beautiful. And we all love her work here. So we are going to gracefully switch this up.
All right, so next up, one of my favorite artists is Lori Chase. She is a native of Chicago, but she does live in Florida nowadays. You can find her in a lot of different areas. She's pretty much influenced by a lot of different coastlines and landscapes. She's traveled a lot over the years to Mexico, different parts of South America, and Italy. And over the course of time, she has been able to paint with oils, also watercolors too, different works of art. And so today we have, one of my favorites is called Sunbreak, actually. This is depicted in Florida, but this one is depicted, okay.
It's been a long 40 minutes,
It
y'all,
has. Forgive me. Dried Tortuga here. This, I want to say, is depicted in the Key West, though. But thank you. Thank you. See? Thank you. I had to pull it
Key
out.
Largo, I said.
Thank you. Had to pull it out of you. Thank you. But I do love the way that Lori Chase, at least in these two paintings, she's able to, very similar to Lillian Virkin's piece, she's able to help the viewers see themselves in the painting. Lori even adds some nice little sandals to make it feel like you're actually on the beach and you're about to sit onto a nice beach chair and relax and enjoy the scenery. Here in this piece, she actually focuses on two beach chairs that are there on display too. I love the mix of color that she also adds a little bit of burgundy that's here in the shrubs, but also in the corner with the sand as well. Lori Chase, she is a very, very well-known, profound artist, and I encourage you guys to actually take a look at some of her works on our website, also on her website too. And I'm gonna skip on over to Paulo Jimenez. He is awesome. The director and I, Amber, we actually got to interview him together a week ago, and I finally got to meet him in person. He is responsible for some of the previous works in the gallery. He's painted on different wood surfaces using different mediums, different materials, and he is great at landscapes. He is a native of, well, he's from originally Costa Rica. He does live in DeLand, Florida now with his wife and two kids. Very kind. But Paulo loves to focus on traditional landscape, but also seascapes. So for him, nature is pretty much a nice extension of himself. He does see himself in nature, but he also wants others to see themselves in nature. So all of these are depictions of how he views parts of Florida for the most part. One of my favorite pieces, which it's not actually in this stash, it's called The Golfer. And that particular painting he actually pulled from the Pelican Bay here in Daytona Beach, so it is pretty local in itself too. It is right over here. And what I love, Paulo was sharing with Amber and I about how the golfer actually, he's kind of like off the course. So he's not even really supposed to be there. But Paulo was able to recapture not only that particular golfer, but also add different layers between the sunset and the background. Just the viewpoint that you have as the viewer to kind of look off into the distance and look at the sunset. He was also able to combine the different landscapes because typically, this area in Pelican Bay doesn't really exist, so he combined different parts of the Pelican Bay area to get that specific view. And next we have Amber's going to be chatting a little bit more for you guys.
So wonderful switcheroo. So there's just a couple things I want to talk about next. 2 more artists we'll go through because y'all are probably sick of hearing me. I want to point out these black and white photos that we have at the gallery. Richard Lesesne, photographer from the early 1900s. He was known for photographing the original beach races, speed races. And I think it's a really great history that we have here in Daytona. Once again, ocean's beautiful, sunset's beautiful, waves are beautiful. We've discussed it. This is Florida. This is our history. You know, the United States isn't that old of a country, so we don't have tenured history as a lot of areas do. But I love this great, rich history that we have here in Daytona. The original races where they would race on the beach, come around, race on the road, and turn back around again. NASCAR and racing is one of the oldest sports that we have. And I think it speaks volumes in that throughout COVID, throughout this pandemic, they were able to continue racing, continue the sport, continue with the support of fans without having to cancel anything, without having, you know, huge outbreaks and everything, and really bring this history and enjoyment to the public. And I think it's a huge accomplishment that many people don't discuss or don't realize. It's a great history. We have these photographs here shown on photo paper and framed, but I've had a couple clients get these pieces specifically printed on metal, aluminum, and it looks fantastic. So we do have that option as well, different printing materials. So y'all can always come in and ask us about it. I actually got to go play in the archives one day and touch the originals, pick some of them out specifically for the gallery. The France family owns the negatives. They're housed at the archives. And so we were allowed to choose a couple of them, and we're doing limited editions of 50. So we already have several of the initial editions sold out, but they're really cool. Last artist we have to note, obviously it's Florida, Mr. Guy Harvey. We have a few of his pieces, but this is iconic Florida. This is iconic the ocean, right? These wonderful views, his amazing skill and talent. You can see this wonderful light shining in from above as if you're looking above from below. His work's fantastic. He does donate a portion to ocean research and conservation, and I think that's a huge thing to point out, that regardless of how big he's gotten, he continues to support his cause, right? So we've officially been talking to you for about 45 minutes. I think that's long enough. I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in, checking out the exhibition. Thank you to our artists for popping in and talking to us for a bit. We will have the Volusia County Schools student exhibition up next Friday. The reception is private for students and staff and parents, but otherwise it'll be on display for the following month through October 15th, so come in and check it out. And I also want to point out next big event. We're super excited. The One Daytona Art Festival, November 13th and 14th. You'll see One Daytona transformed into a huge festival. Several artists, several vendors, juried competition. We'll have a great VIP portion, so contact the gallery if you want to learn how to be a VIP. You get a private room, AC, food, drinks, some special artist experiences that we'll be hosting. But otherwise, the festival's open to the public, of course. Come in, hang out, and enjoy. Bye, y'all.
See ya.